Hi everyone, I'm Dr.Sun, and in today's video, we'll follow Professor Bancha as he repairs an L-shaped supraspinatus tear with a posterior apex pattern. Let's begin by reviewing the preoperative findings before we move on to the surgical process. 57-year-old man, an Ironman competitor, presented with persistent right shoulder pain, particularly during overhead activities. Physical examination showed normal range of motion, but a positive Job test, while other rotator cuff tests were unremarkable. MRI confirmed a rotator cuff tear supraspinatus tendon. Arthroscopic rotator cuff repair was advised to restore function and alleviate his symptoms. We begin with a subacromial decompression. Supraspinatus tendon is identified with a full thickness tear. We clean up the torn edges of the supraspinatus tendon, carefully identifying the tear pattern. We continue the bursectomy, ensuring the operative field remains clear. Here we see an L-shaped tear of the supraspinatus with the apex located posteriorly. Rotator cuff mapping is performed to assess tension and mobility, focusing on reducing the posterior apex so it can be repaired in a functional position. The rotator cuff footprint is abraded to expose a corticocancellous bed for improved tendon healing. The crimson duvet procedure is carried out. We place two triple-loaded self-punching all-suture anchors along the rotator cuff footprint. The key to restoring normal anatomy is to convert the L-shaped tear into a crescent tear. Step 1 is reducing the posterior apex of the tear, identified here by a black striped suture strand. Once the posterior apex is reduced, the L shape is converted into a crescent tear. After the suture shuttling through the supraspinatus, sutures are arranged in the following configuration: 1, 4, 3, 1. The shuttle relay technique, this time with a vicryl loop, helps pass the suture smoothly, minimizing tissue trauma. Spectrum suture passer is introduced. A shuttle relay technique using a PDS suture allows precise passage of the sutures. Moving to the anterior anchor, we remove one striped blue strand so that it becomes a double-loaded anchor containing a plain light blue suture and a striped black suture. Once again, the shuttle relay technique, this time with a vicryl loop, helps pass the suture smoothly, minimizing tissue trauma. Now you can see the 1-4-3-1 pattern. Now we secure the posterior apex reduction by tying the striped black suture. Fully converting the L-shaped tear into a crescent. Peripheral, striped sutures are tied, whereas the central plane sutures are untied. For the first two passes, the posterior limb, the striped blue, is used as the post. While the anterior limb, the striped black, is used as the post in tying the striped sutures on the last two passes. 2 knotless suture anchors are used for the lateral row. The posterior lateral row anchor is placed near the infraspinatus insertion on the lateral aspect of the greater tuberosity. The sutures were arranged to ensure maximum footprint coverage before tensioning of the lateral row sutures. The anterior lateral row anchor is placed on the anterior border of the greater tuberosity, posterolateral to the bicipital groove. The sutures were arranged to ensure maximum footprint coverage before tensioning of the lateral row sutures. This is the final appearance of the repair. The repair follows 3 principles: tension-free, maximum footprint coverage, and avoids sutures, strangulation, and cuff damage. Post-operatively, the shoulder was immobilized using the abduction brace for 6 weeks. In the early post-operative phase, the patient was allowed to do passive range of motion exercises of elbow, hand, and wrist.